उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ।
Sir, thank you, sir.
Reddy, please.
Thank you, sir. The banks have a vital role in the nation's growth and development. They offer capital and financial services to industry, small business, and individuals, enabling them to thrive, sir. The Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024 was introduced on August this year, and the bill aims to bring about better governance, standardized definition of terms, standardized reports, greater autonomy to cooperatives, and protect the depositors. These are all part of the much-needed reforms in the banking industry, sir, and I feel all parties should support the bill, and so I'm glad to see some of the opposition party members also supporting this bill in the interest of the nation. However, sir, some members have reservations. One of the members from Congress seems to be opposing on certain grounds. In fact, there's no consistency. There's opposition among themselves, sir. The member from Congress was saying he's not here, so I'm not taking his name, that this bill is an attack on the very federal system and the federal structure of this country, because it goes into the cooperative banks, which is a state subject. But yet another member, honorable member, I think Saugat Rai from Trinamool Congress, says this is superfluous, and these are very simple, and these could have been amendments that have been done through administrative decision, sir. So two sides of the opposition are opposing one another, sir. See, the honorable member from Congress who feels that the federal structure is threatened should know that if anything, any bill was against the federal structure, it is the 97th Amendment of the Cooperative that the Congress government brought in 2011, sir. And while the entire bill was not struck down by the Supreme Court, those aspects of the bill which actually infringed upon the state authority, the Supreme Court struck it down in July 20th, sir. So if anything is against the federal structure, it is a Congress bill. Federalism khatre mein hai, that is because of Congress UPA bill, sir. But lekin आरोप हमारे पास है that we threaten the federal structure, sir. Some feel, sir, some feel that 5 legislation through one bill is too much, but imagine 19 amendments through 19 bills. It'll take several years to pass in this house full of disruption, thanks to the opposition, sir. Also, they have forgotten that in 2013, the NDA government amended it's a nice bill, sir, it's a right to fair compensation and transparency in the Land Acquisition Act of 2013. This amendment also amended several bills, including National Highways Act and Railways Act, showcasing the pattern of and the comprehensive legislation aimed to address a critical issue, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You are a lawyer. We'll discuss this. Sir, our government recognized the need for reforms in the banking sector after the previous Congress government left the banks in doldrums with humongous NPAs, leaving many banks on the verge of collapse, sir. So, honorable member Gaurav Gogai talked about the chronology, sir. So, give me a minute to talk about the chronology, sir. We heard the history of banking industry from 1969, where the banks were suddenly nationalized overnight. Suddenly nationalized overnight. It doesn't matter who opposed. From the sudden nationalization, let's discuss. It happened. Whether it's good or bad can be discussed later, but it happened. One more thing, sir, I respect the sentiment and the sensitivity of my colleagues from Congress party, so I will not take the names, but the scam that happened right here, sir, on the Parliament Street branch, now the Sansad Marg branch, I will not take names, but at least let's see what we can learn from it. Somebody called and 60 lakhs was transferred. What we can learn from it is there was lack of good governance, there was no checks and balances, and the bankers feared their political bosses, sir. So instead of what we needed was regulation, not merely nationalization and political influence, sir. But after that, to the abyss of the 90s, where the entire nation was on the verge of bankruptcy and due to political influence and a lack of checks and balance. In 1991, India faced the worst economic crisis on the brink of sovereign default. India's foreign exchanges for less than $6 billion, enough to meet 2 meals of country's imports, sir. The Congress government those days made the word Hindu very, very popular all across the world, sir. They made the word Hindu very popular. They referred to the Hindu growth of rate. The Hindu growth of rate was referring to the abysmally slow rate of economic growth in India, and the banking and global economists, this was a popular term to refer to India. Everybody looked down upon India, sir. But 2 or 3% negative growth rate during your UPA times. There were 2 years negative growth rate. And
please address the chair.
And now our nation under Prime Minister Modi ji leadership is looked upon for the highest growth rate among the large and economies around the globe, sir. Pledging gold to shore up forest research. We have seen all this, sir. But Honorable Member Gaurav Gogaji also referred to devaluation, sir, of the Indian rupees. Sir, during the time, in 1 week, 2 times devaluation, total more than 21% devaluation, sir. Economy is stable. The rupee is stabler than any currency in the world today, sir. Sir, it was, I'm proud to say it was P.V. Narasimha Rao, sir, the then Congress Prime Minister. He's from my state. He steered the country through the mess and brought major reforms against nationalization and against the nationalization policy, got in liberalization and privatization. But this is where it is a directionless, sir. Once they say nationalization, once they say liberalization, and now again they oppose many contemporary economic policies, sir. It's the inconsistency and the lack of direction was the hallmark of the UPA governments, and this led to the tumultuous situation in the bank. But even after the reforms of the 90s, things were not so well, sir. Sir, we remember, we all actually appreciated, regardless of which party, there was huge growth rate, sir, in the subsequent UPA government, but actually what was hidden was all the NPAs amounting to lakhs of crores, sir. They were unrecoverable loans hidden under different classification of NPAs. Sir, Kalyan Banerjee had just mentioned that jugglery of words, sir. The jugglery of words and terminology was done during Congress government, sir. They were unrecoverable loans hidden under different classification of NPAs, sir. And everybody knew it. The bankers knew it, and the officials knew it, and of course the ministry knew it. But nobody had the courage to tell that the banks were totally bankrupt, sir. It's like the story, the emperor's new clothes, sir. Nobody had the courage to say the emperor is totally naked and the banks are totally bankrupt. It is after the Modi government, we recognized this problem, we pointed it out. And why was this problem, sir? It was due to stressed asset, including aggressive lending practices, willful defaults, loan frauds, corruption, and also one valid reason, economic slowdown. But under the UPA governments, the bank were heavily influenced by political interests, and they extended loans to borrowers who had little intention of paying back, sir. So in those days, I think my colleague was referring to our phone banking. If you wanted a loan, you don't run to the bank or the bank manager. You run to the MLA or MP or the minister to get a loan, sir. After the NDA took office, Modi ji government recognized the problem and introduced a bill, sir, called FRDI, Financial Resolution and Deposit Insurance. There was a little opposition, so they sent it to a select committee. I was on that committee, sir. And on this committee, we were shocked to find the so-called growing economy had so many skeletons hidden in the various reports. This is the banking. This is about banking.
Okay, please address the chair.
Yeah.
Honourable member, please address the chair.
It is then
Try to confine yourself within the scope of the bill, please.
Yes, sir. 94. Only banking. I'm not talking about taxation, GST, Adani, all those. I'm talking only about banking, sir. And
No politics.
No politics.
Yes.
Only banking. So FRDA is banking, sir. The bill was later withdrawn because of many irrational as well as some rational reasons, sir. And because, although we had a majority, we wanted to build consensus, sir. But nevertheless, the arop on us is we have a brute majority and we force it through, sir. The bill, FRDA bill, was well-meaning bill and we withdrew it, but ended up with a series of reforms which transformed the banking sector. Today, the banks have not only turned around but thriving. PSU bank share prices increased 200 to 300%. The market capitalization of SBI, those days if a small investor wanted to invest, he would invest in Wipro or TCS or Infosys. But now, if you invest in these, they doubled and tripled their money in just 2 years, 200, 300% return. And not only that, the McKinsey report praises us. There are many key legal procedures, sir, and I will not go through it because many speakers have already gone through it. But India's infrastructure requirement funds is about a tenth of the GDP, and it is estimated to need about 1.43 lakh crores. And India depends on our banking sector to be healthy and thriving. It is miraculous about the turnaround, sir. It is really miraculous, and nobody believed in 2014 this would happen. So there's also, many are talking about what about the poorer sections, what about the depressed sections. Sir, a lot of us completed a Disha meeting, sir. That's our responsibility in our constituency. In the Disha meeting, we have a meeting with the lead bankers, sir. And we were shocked to find, if you compare to the 2014 to now, in fact, in my district, sir, it is unbelievable. The bankers' target is 50,000 crores, sir. Of course, they have not met, but still it is almost 300 to 400 times what it was in 2014, sir. And they are yet to meet the target. But even whatever this thing, they have amended that, sir.
Please conclude.
So I will conclude, sir. But before I conclude, I'll just convey 2 points, sir. We are talking about middle class and household. Yes, the household disposable income to meet the debt obligation is among the lowest in the world at 6.7%, sir. Yes, there's one more allegation that of recent the investments or deposits in the banks have reduced. And that's because there are great opportunities for investment this vibrant economy under Modi ji has created. There are SIPs, systematic investment plans, mutual funds, and instead of putting a deposit in State Bank of India, if you buy your State Bank of India shares, you'll make much more profit. And there are various avenues for investments that we have seen, sir. But before I go, just last 2 points, sir. If you went to a village 10 years ago, in 2014, there used to be 10 motorcycles. If you go today in the same village, there are 300 to 400 motorcycles. There were 10 to 20 bank account holders. Now there are 400 bank account holders, sir. And this is the Antodai. And
please conclude.
I'll conclude, sir. I have 20 minutes, but I'll conclude.
One more speaker has to
sir.
speak.
Yeah, I'll just conclude. Just 2 minutes, sir. And so it is the Antodai we are following, sir. And honorable member from Hyderabad asked a question in Parliament, a start question, about where the Mudra loans are going and what's happening. The maximum, I think, 300% growth in the loans to the depressed classes, sir. The Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana with bank accounts opening, Mudra Yojana, Stand Up India, Atmanirbhar, street vendors program, Vishwakarma Yojana, all these have really gone, sir. But one thing, sir, I would conclude with one thing. It was policies were directionless, but this government has a direction. But just a direction is not enough, sir. We need a vector. Vector has both a direction and a magnitude. Even if you're going in the right direction, if you don't have the magnitude, you'll fall short, sir. This government, the vector, it has the magnitude and direction, and the trajectory is Viksit Bharat 2047, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sri Arun Bhardi.